The upcoming 97th Academy Awards will honor the best achievements in film from 2024 through nominations in 23 categories, but some of those have not always been present at the ceremony. The 2025 Oscars is likely to have tough competition in all of its categories, especially considering that Golden Globe wins switched up some former predictions. The competition for Best Picture appears to be especially stiff and has been made even more tense by the revelation of the brutalist's use of AI, which may ultimately prompt the Academy to change its rules in a similar way to changing its categories. Remove ads. With the announcement of the 2025 Oscars nominees fast approaching, predictions of likely Oscars winners may be challenged. Additionally, given all the attention surrounding the Oscars hopefuls, past ceremonies, and their respective awards have also gained attention. While some categories, like Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, and Best Picture have remained largely unchanged throughout the ceremony's history, some forgotten Oscars categories are interesting. It is pretty clear why some were dropped, but others actually make sense to be brought back considering their connection to 2024's best films. 13. Academy Juvenile Award. This award was included from 1934 to 1960. The Academy Juvenile Award is one of the more well-known retired categories because it has some well-known winners. The first person to receive the award was Shirley Temple at the 7th Oscars in 1935 at the age of 6. Decades later, she is still the youngest person to be honored by an Oscar award. Other notable child actors, such as Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland, also received juvenile Oscars. The 33rd Academy Awards in 1961 was the last ceremony to include the honorary award, with the miniature statue going to Hayley Mills for her performance in the 1960 film Pollyanna. Despite being a category for 26 years, only 12 children received juvenile Oscars because they were not given out every year. This is likely because it was honorary rather than a true competitive category. The juvenile award was phased out because it was never a full category to begin with and children could be nominated in other categories as well. While it is true that a few minors have won Oscars, the juvenile Oscar is one award that it could actually make sense to bring back, with some alterations to make it a real award rather than an honorary one. 12. Best Assistant Director. The award was included in the ceremony from 1933 to 1937. Oscars 2024-1 Custom Image by Debanjana Chowdhury. The Academy Awards Best Assistant Director category only existed for 5 years, and in its first year, it did not correspond to one particular film. Instead, the 1933 Best Assistant Director winners included one individual from each of the major production houses, meaning that there were 7 winners. In the remaining 4 years, there were fewer nominees and each was connected to a specific film that had been released that year, making it slightly easier to keep track of. While the directors and actors get the majority of attention going into the award season, there are a lot of other crucial industry employees that the Oscars do not give much attention to, including assistant directors. It is unclear exactly why this category was removed in the first place, perhaps to keep the majority of attention focused on the director. However, Best Assistant Director is an award that definitely should make a comeback in the future as it helps give hardworking professionals the attention that they deserve. 11. Best Dance Direction. The Best Dance Direction category made appearances in 1935, 1936, and 1937. Louise Rayner as Anna held surrounded by showgirls in The Great Ziegfeld. Best Dance Direction is a very fun category that the Academy sadly chose to get rid of after only 3 years. The award focused on one particular song that was choreographed and filmed by a dedicated dance director. The 3 winners of Best Dance Director were Dave Gould, Seymour Felix, and Hermes Pan, who each had successful careers as choreographers. While the category is pretty interesting, it would not make as much sense to include it today, and even at the time, it received pushback. Best Dance Director was retired largely because members of the Directors Guild of America felt that it took attention away from the importance of directing the other scenes of the film. Although it could be cool to see a Best Choreography category at the Oscars, it is true that dancing is just not as big of a part of most major films today as it was in the 1930s. 10. Best Title Writing. Best Title Writing was retired after the first Oscars. 3 Oscar statuettes stand in a line custom image by Debanjana Chowdhury. Best Title Writing is one category that it would make absolutely no sense to bring back today, and it was only ever a part of the very first Academy Awards in 1929. Which rewarded films from 1927 and 1928. The award was presented to Joseph Farnham, who also helped found the Academy, though he did not win for any specific film. The primary reason why Best Title Writing was retired after only one ceremony, and the reason that it would be unnecessary today, is that there was quite simply less need for title cards. The end of the 1920s marked the beginning of talking pictures, so silent films, which would have needed title cards to explain what was going on, were falling quickly out of popularity. Though the award ended up not being super practical due to changing technology, it is still a cool part of Oscars history. Best engineering effects is another category that only appeared at the first Oscars in 1929, though this one could have stuck around as a different version of the award ultimately came back. The 1929 award went to Roy Pomeroy for his creation of the effects in the 1927 movie Wings. While Best Engineering Effects was scrapped after the first ceremony, 10 years later a similar category appeared at the 11th Academy Awards. An honorary award for outstanding photographic and sound effects was given to the production of Spawn of the North, and the next year Best Special Effects became a full category. It is unclear why the Academy got rid of the category for 10 years, but the altered version, which went on to become Best Visual Effects, still exists today. Some of 2024's best films, including Dune, Part 2, Gladiator 2, Mufasa, The Lion King, and more are frontrunners for the 2025 race.